First encounter. The transport shuttle broke through Lumina Prime's atmosphere, and Dr. Sarah Chen pressed her face against the viewport, her breath catching at the sight below. The planet glowed with bioluminescent forests that pulsed like a living heartbeat, casting waves of soft light across crystalline mountains that seemed to sing in the wind. 6 years of training, 3 months of space travel, and countless simulations had brought her to this moment, humanity's first official contact with the Luminan civilization. Nervous? Captain Alex Cooper asked from the pilot's seat, his weathered hand steady on the controls. Terrified, Sarah admitted, smoothing down her white diplomatic suit, the Earth Federation insignia gleaming on her shoulder. Everything depends on this mission. If we can't establish trade agreements for their bioenergy crystals, Earth's power crisis will reach critical levels within 5 years. The shuttle descended toward a landing platform that floated above a sea of violet mist. As the doors opened, Sarah's senses were overwhelmed by the planet's atmosphere. The air tasted like starlight and honey, warm against her skin in a way that made her feel both energized and peaceful. A delegation stood waiting, their tall forms draped in robes that shifted between shades of silver and blue, but Sarah's attention locked onto the figure at their center. Princess Arya stood with the grace of someone born to command, yet her posture held a gentleness that immediately put Sarah at ease. Her skin was a rich purple that seemed to hold its own inner luminescence, catching and reflecting the light like polished amethyst. Long hair the color of midnight waterfalls cascaded down her back, moving as if stirred by an invisible breeze. Her eyes, large and expressive, shimmered with flecks of gold that reminded Sarah of distant galaxies. Dr. Chen, Arya's voice carried a melodic quality that made Sarah's name sound like music. Lumina Prime welcomes you with open hearts. Arya extended her hand in Earth's traditional greeting, and Sarah reached out, their fingers meeting in the space between two worlds. The moment their skin touched, something electric passed between them, not painful but thrilling, like touching a live wire made of pure starlight. Sarah gasped softly, and she saw Arya's eyes widen with surprise and something else, recognition perhaps. Your Highness, Sarah managed, her voice steadier than she felt, the honor is entirely mine. Please, Arya said, her lips curving into a smile that made Sarah's heart skip, call me Arya, we have much to discuss, and I hope formality won't stand between us. Captain Cooper cleared his throat, reminding Sarah that they weren't alone. Commander Rena, Lumina's military leader, stepped forward with a stern expression, his silver skin marked with ceremonial scars. The Emperor awaits in the Grand Hall, Rena announced, his tone making it clear he viewed Earth's delegation with suspicion. Follow me, and touch nothing. As they walked through corridors of living crystal that hummed with energy, Sarah found herself acutely aware of Arya walking beside her. Every accidental brush of their arms sent tingles across her skin. When Arya leaned closer to point out a particular crystal formation, Sarah caught the scent of something like rain on warm stones. These walls hold memories, Arya explained softly, her voice meant only for Sarah. They remember every person who has walked these halls, every emotion, every thought, they absorb and preserve. That must make privacy difficult, Sarah replied, unable to stop herself from smiling. Arya's laugh was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. You have no idea. She paused, then added in an even softer tone, though some feelings are worth remembering. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Sarah knew with absolute certainty that this mission had just become far more complicated than anyone had anticipated. Forbidden attraction. The negotiations had dragged on for 3 days, each session more tense than the last. Commander Rena opposed every proposal Sarah presented, his distrust of humanity evident in every sharp word. But what made the meetings truly unbearable was sitting across from Arya, watching her move with liquid grace, hearing her voice advocate for peace while Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. Each night, Sarah returned to her guest quarters restless and confused. She'd never felt this way before, certainly not during a diplomatic mission. Arya occupied her thoughts like a song she couldn't stop humming, the way her purple skin seemed to glow when she was passionate about a topic, how her fingers traced patterns in the air when she explained complex concepts, the warmth in her eyes when they locked with Sarah's across the conference table. On the 4th night, Sarah couldn't sleep. She wandered the palace corridors, following the soft luminescence of the crystal walls. The path led her to an enormous observatory dome, its transparent ceiling revealing the cosmos in breathtaking detail. 3 moons hung in the sky, casting silvery light across the chamber. "I hoped you'd find your way here," a voice said from the shadows. Sarah's breath caught as Arya emerged from behind a massive telescope. She wore a simple gown the color of deep twilight that flowed around her like liquid silk. Her hair was unbound, falling past her shoulders in waves that seemed to catch starlight. "I couldn't sleep," Sarah admitted, moving closer, "too much on my mind." "The negotiations trouble you?" Arya asked, though something in her tone suggested she knew the answer wasn't that simple. "Among other things," Sarah said carefully, then decided to risk honesty. "If I'm being truthful, it's not the politics keeping me awake." Arya's expression softened, and she closed the distance between them. "Sarah, I must tell you something, and I fear it may complicate matters further." She paused, seeming to gather courage. "From the moment we touched, I felt something I've never experienced. My people, we're sensitive to energy, to the resonance between souls. What I felt when our hands met, it's rare, precious, and utterly forbidden for someone in my position." Sarah's heart raced. "I felt it too," she whispered. "I've been trying to convince myself it was just the stress of the mission, or the atmosphere affecting my brain chemistry, but it's not," Arya finished, reaching out tentatively. Her fingers hovered near Sarah's cheek, not quite touching. "May I?" Sarah nodded, unable to speak. When Arya's fingertips brushed her skin, warmth flooded through her entire body. Images flashed in her mind, fragments of memory and emotion that weren't her own. She saw Arya as a child, lonely despite her royal status, studying Earth through telescopes and dreaming of distant worlds. She felt Arya's curiosity, her longing for connection, her fear of disappointing her father. "What is this?" Sarah gasped, though she didn't pull away. "Among my people, touch is sacred," Arya explained, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can share more than words. When two souls resonate at the same frequency, we can exchange memories, feelings, the very essence of who we are." Her hand moved to cup Sarah's face gently. "With you, the connection is stronger than anything I've ever known." Sarah covered Arya's hand with her own, marveling at how right it felt. "Show me more." Arya's eyes searched hers. "If I do, there's no going back. You'll know me completely, and I'll know you, every joy, every pain, every secret." "I want that," Sarah said with certainty she didn't know she possessed. "I want to know you." Arya smiled, and it was like watching a sunrise. She placed her other hand on Sarah's temple, and suddenly the universe exploded into color and sensation. Sarah experienced Arya's life in rushing waves, the weight of a crown she never asked for, the pressure to marry for political alliance, the aching loneliness of being untouchable. The moment she first saw Earth's blue marble through a telescope and wondered if someone out there might understand her. In return, Arya absorbed Sarah's memories, her childhood fascination with the stars, her struggles in a male-dominated scientific field, her failed relationships with people who couldn't understand her dedication, the pure wonder she felt seeing Lumina Prime for the first time, and underneath it all, the growing certainty that Arya was someone worth risking everything for. When they finally broke apart, both were trembling, tears traced silver paths down Arya's purple cheeks. "Now you see why this is dangerous," Arya whispered. "My father will never approve. Commander Rena will use this against your mission. We could destroy the peace between our worlds." Sarah pulled Arya close, feeling her heartbeat racing in sync with her own. "Then we'll be careful," she said fiercely, "because now that I know you, really know you, I can't just walk away." Arya tilted her face up, her lips parting slightly. "Neither can I." When they kissed, it felt like coming home and launching into space simultaneously, a connection that transcended species, planets, and politics. Above them, a meteor shower painted the sky with streaks of light, as if the universe itself was celebrating their union. The sacred bond. 5 days had passed since their first kiss, 5 days of stolen moments between diplomatic sessions, secret meetings in hidden corners of the palace. Each touch deepened their connection, each shared glance across the negotiation table made Sarah's resolve weaken. She was falling hard, and she knew Arya felt the same. Tonight, Arya had sent a holographic message in the form of a luminescent bird that materialized in Sarah's quarters. "The Crystal Caverns, midnight, come alone," it chirped in Arya's melodic voice before dissolving into sparkles. Sarah slipped through the palace's lower levels, following Aria's telepathic guidance like a thread pulling her forward. The crystal caverns were ancient, carved by the planet's first inhabitants millions of years ago. Walls of pure crystal amplified every sound, every heartbeat, creating an intimate symphony. She found Aria standing in the cavern's heart, surrounded by crystals that pulsed with soft purple light. Responding to her presence, Aria wore a flowing gown that seemed woven from moonlight itself, her hair adorned with tiny glowing flowers. "You came," Aria breathed, turning to face her. "Always," Sarah replied, closing the distance between them. "I'll always come when you call." Aria took both of Sarah's hands, her expression serious. "There's something I need to share with you, something that will change everything." She led Sarah to a raised platform at the cavern's center, where two crystalline seats faced each other. "Sit with me." They settled onto the seats, knees touching, hands intertwined. The crystals around them began to hum, a frequency that Sarah felt in her bones. "What I showed you before was just the surface," Aria began, her voice trembling slightly. "My people possess a deeper gift, one that is rarely shared, even between married couples. It's called the soul binding." Sarah's heart raced. "What does it mean?" "It means," Aria continued, her golden-flecked eyes intense, "that I can open my entire being to you, every memory from the day I was born until this moment, every fear, every dream, every secret I've kept locked away, and you would do the same for me." She paused. "It's permanent, Sarah, once our souls bind, we'll always feel each other, no matter the distance. Your joy will be my joy, your pain will be my pain. We'll be connected across the stars themselves." Sarah's mind whirled with the implications. "That's why you said our connection was rare." "It happens perhaps once in a generation," Aria confirmed. "My people call it the recognition. When two souls are meant to find each other, they resonate at the exact same frequency, like two notes that create perfect harmony." Tears glistened in her eyes. "From the moment I touched you, I knew, you're my recognition, Sarah, my once-in-a-lifetime." Sarah cupped Aria's face gently, feeling the warmth of her purple skin beneath her palms. "Show me," she whispered, "bind your soul to mine, I want all of you." Aria's breath hitched. "You understand what you're asking? This isn't just romance or attraction, this is forever. Even if we're separated by galaxies, even if we never see each other again, we'll be bound." "Then let's make sure we're never separated," Sarah said fiercely, pulling Aria closer. "I love you, Aria. I know it's fast, I know it's complicated, but I've never been more certain of anything in my life." "I love you too," Aria whispered, tears flowing freely now. "I love you so much it terrifies me." Aria placed her hands on either side of Sarah's head, and Sarah mirrored the gesture. Their foreheads touched, and the world exploded into sensation. This time, there was no holding back. Sarah experienced everything: Aria's birth during a cosmic storm, her mother's death when she was 7, the crushing weight of expectations, the loneliness of being untouchable, her secret rebellions, her dreams of freedom, her terror the day she learned she'd have to marry for politics, and then, the pure electric shock of meeting Sarah, the first person who made her feel truly seen. Aria received Sarah's life in return, a childhood spent stargazing, a father who encouraged her scientific dreams, the heartbreak of relationships that couldn't survive her ambition, the years of training, the wonder and fear of leaving Earth, the moment she saw Aria and felt her world tilt on its axis, and beneath everything, the growing conviction that this purple-skinned princess was her destiny. But it was more than memories. Sarah felt Aria's emotions as if they were her own, the flutter of her heartbeat, the warmth spreading through her chest, the fierce protectiveness, the desire, the love that felt big enough to swallow solar systems. When they finally pulled apart, both were gasping, the crystals around them blazed with light, responding to the energy of their binding. "I feel you," Sarah whispered in awe, pressing her hand to her chest, "right here, like you're inside my heart." "Because I am," Aria said, her voice thick with emotion, "and you're in mine, forever now, Sarah, no matter what happens." Sarah pulled Aria into her arms, holding her tight. "Then let them try to separate us," she said against Aria's hair. "Let Commander Rena object, let the councils argue, I'll fight for you, for us." Aria pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "And I'll fight too," she said. "I'm done being the obedient princess, done letting others dictate my heart." She smiled through her tears. "We'll face whatever comes together." They kissed again, deeper this time, the bond between them humming like a living thing. Around them, the crystals sang, their ancient harmony welcoming the newest soul-bound pair into existence. Above ground, storm clouds gathered, but in the caverns, wrapped in each other's arms, Sarah and Arya felt invincible. Political storm. The summons came at dawn. Commander Rena himself appeared at Sarah's quarters, his silver face carved from stone. The Emperor demands your presence. Immediately, his eyes held accusation and something darker. You've been seen. Sarah's blood ran cold. Through the bond, she felt Arya's spike of fear from across the palace. They'd been careful, but clearly not careful enough. The throne room was vast, its walls made of living crystal that pulsed with ominous red light. Emperor Korvac sat upon a throne of black stone, his purple skin darker than Arya's, marked with the gold tattoos of rulership. Arya stood before him, her head held high despite the tears streaking her face. Dr. Chen, the Emperor's voice boomed, each word echoing through the chamber, you were sent here as a diplomat, as a representative of your people. Instead, you have corrupted my daughter. Father, please, Arya began, but he silenced her with a raised hand. You will not speak, he commanded, then turned back to Sarah. You've used some earth manipulation, some technology to enchant her. There is no other explanation for why a princess of Lumina Prime would debase herself with an alien. Rage flooded through Sarah, both her own and Arya's through their bond. With respect, Your Majesty, I've done nothing of the sort. What Arya and I share is real, it's the recognition your own people consider sacred. The Emperor's eyes widened, then narrowed dangerously. Impossible, the recognition is a gift reserved for our kind, not for, he paused, disgust dripping from his words, outsiders. The crystals don't lie, Father, Arya said, her voice strong despite her fear. We performed the soul binding in the ancient caverns, the crystals witnessed it, they accepted it, they sang for us. Commander Rena stepped forward, his expression triumphant. This is exactly why I opposed this mission from the beginning. Humans cannot be trusted, they come speaking of peace while seducing our royalty, corrupting our traditions. Captain Cooper, who had been standing silently in the corner, finally spoke up. Now wait just a minute, Dr. Chen has conducted herself with nothing but professionalism and respect. If two people have fallen in love, that's hardly a diplomatic incident. Love? Emperor Korvac spat the word like poison. My daughter has responsibilities. She is to marry Prince Theron of the Northern Territories next moon cycle. This alliance will secure our planet's future. I won't, Arya said quietly, but with steel in her voice. I won't marry Theron. I don't love him, I love Sarah. The Emperor rose from his throne, his imposing figure casting long shadows. Then you leave me no choice, Arya. You are hereby stripped of your title and confined to the Western Tower until you come to your senses. He turned to Sarah, and you, Dr. Chen, your diplomatic credentials are revoked. You have 1 day to leave Lumina Prime. If you're found on this planet after that, you'll be arrested. No. Arya cried out, trying to move toward Sarah, but guards materialized, holding her back. Through their bond, Sarah felt Arya's anguish like a physical wound. Your Majesty, please, Sarah pleaded, don't punish Arya for this. If you must be angry, direct it at me, but don't take away her freedom, don't force her into a loveless marriage. You dare tell me how to handle my own daughter, the Emperor's voice thundered. I dare because I love her, Sarah said firmly, meeting his gaze without flinching, and because she deserves to choose her own path, her own happiness. Happiness? The Emperor laughed bitterly. She is royalty, happiness is a luxury she cannot afford. He waved his hand dismissively. Guards, escort Dr. Chen to her quarters. Captain Cooper, prepare your shuttle for immediate departure. As the guards moved to take Sarah's arms, she locked eyes with Arya across the room. Through their bond, she sent waves of love, of promise, of determination. This isn't over, Sarah said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I won't give up on us. Neither will I, Arya called back, struggling against the guards holding her. Sarah, I'll find a way, I promise. Silence, the Emperor roared, take them both away. As Sarah was led from the throne room, she felt Arya's presence in her heart, their bond humming with shared resolve. They'd been torn apart physically, but their souls remained intertwined, and somehow, some way, they would find their way back to each other. Commander Rena's satisfied smirk was the last thing Sarah saw before the doors closed, but she refused to let despair take hold. This was a setback, not an ending. In her quarters, as Captain Cooper helped her pack, Sarah's mind raced. There had to be a solution, a way to bridge the gap between two worlds, between duty and love, between politics and the heart. "We'll figure this out," Cooper said quietly, reading her expression. "Love like that doesn't just give up." Sarah touched her chest, feeling Aria's heartbeat alongside her own. "No," she agreed, "it doesn't, and I won't either." The storm had broken over them, but through the bond, Sarah could feel Aria's determination matching her own. They would weather this together, even if apart. Tomorrow, she would leave Lumina Prime, but this was far from goodbye. Two worlds united. Sarah stood before the Earth Federation Council, her heart pounding but her voice steady. 3 weeks had passed since she'd been forced to leave Lumina Prime, 3 weeks of feeling Aria's loneliness and determination through their bond, 3 weeks of formulating a plan that seemed impossible. "Council members," she began, "I stand before you not just as a diplomat, but as someone who has experienced something extraordinary. I've been soulbound to Princess Aria of Lumina Prime, and I believe this connection could be the key to lasting peace between our worlds." The council chamber erupted in whispers. Admiral Kensington, the head counselor, raised his hand for silence. "Dr. Chen, you're asking us to support a relationship that nearly destroyed our diplomatic mission. Why should we risk everything for your personal feelings?" "Because it's not just personal," Sarah argued, pulling up holographic data. "The Luminan people revere the recognition, the soul bond, as their most sacred tradition. If we can show them that this bond can exist between humans and Luminans, it proves we're more alike than different. It opens doors that politics never could." Captain Cooper stepped forward. "I witnessed the reaction in that throne room. The Emperor was shocked because he believed the recognition was impossible between species. If we approached this correctly, we could transform his view of humanity entirely." Meanwhile, on Lumina Prime, Aria paced her tower prison, the bond thrumming with Sarah's nervous energy across the stars. Her father had visited daily, trying to convince her to accept Prince Theron, but she'd refused every time. Tonight was different. Tonight, she had a visitor she hadn't expected. "Prince Theron," she said coolly as the tall Luminan entered her chambers, his skin a pale lavender marked with noble symbols. "Princess," he bowed respectfully, then surprised her with a gentle smile. "I come not as your intended, but as someone who understands what it means to love without permission." Aria's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I'm in love with Captain Kyra of the Royal Guard," he admitted quietly. "We've hidden it for years. I don't want to marry you any more than you want to marry me." He moved closer, his voice conspiratorial. "But what if we could help each other? What if there was a way to convince your father that change is necessary?" Hope bloomed in Aria's chest. "Tell me your plan." 2 days later, the Grand Council Hall filled with representatives from both Earth and Lumina Prime. Emperor Korvac sat on his throne, clearly displeased but unable to refuse Earth's formal request for a hearing. Sarah entered first, wearing her full diplomatic regalia. Behind her, a delegation of Earth's finest scientists, politicians, and cultural experts. Through the bond, she felt Aria's presence, locked away but watching through the palace's crystal network. "Your Majesty," Sarah began, "I come to offer Earth's formal apology for any offense given, and to present new terms for our alliance." The Emperor's expression remained cold. "There are no terms that include my daughter and you." "With respect, I disagree," Sarah continued. "The recognition is sacred to your people because it represents the purest form of connection, two souls meant to find each other. What if I told you that Aria and I are not an anomaly, but a bridge?" She gestured, and holographic images appeared, showing brain scans, energy readings, biological data. "Your scientists and ours have been working together. The soul bond between Aria and me shows that humans and Luminans are far more compatible than anyone realized. Our neural pathways synchronize, our energy frequencies match. We're not as different as we appear." Commander Rena stood abruptly. "This is manipulation, trying to use science to justify forbidden love." "Is it forbidden?" Prince Theron's voice rang out as he entered the hall, shocking everyone. "Or is it just unexpected?" He approached the throne. "Father Emperor, I must confess something that will displease you. I'm in love with Captain Kyra, and she with me. We've hidden it because she's not royalty, not suitable by old standards. He looked around the room, but love, true recognition, it doesn't care about our rules, it finds who we're meant to be with. The hall erupted in gasps and whispers. Emperor Korvax looked thunderstruck. And I have something to add, another voice called. An elderly Luminan, her skin deep purple with age, stepped forward. I am Sage Melora, keeper of ancient texts. I have found records, old stories of recognition between Luminans and other species. This is not new, we simply forgot. The Emperor's certainty seemed to waver. Why was this hidden? Because fear often wins over love, Sage Melora said gently. We closed ourselves off, made rules to feel safe, but the recognition doesn't follow rules, it follows hearts. Through the bond, Sarah felt Aria's joy and hope surging. She sent back her own determination and love. Bring my daughter here, the Emperor said quietly, and guards rushed to comply. When Aria entered, she walked straight to Sarah, taking her hand without hesitation. The moment they touched, the crystals throughout the hall began to sing, a harmonious frequency that everyone could hear. You see, Aria said to her father, the palace itself recognizes our bond, the ancient crystals accept us, maybe it's time you did too. Emperor Korvax looked at his daughter, really looked at her, and Sarah saw the moment his expression softened. You truly love this human? With every part of my soul, Aria replied. The Emperor was silent for a long moment, then sighed deeply. I have been a fool, he admitted, clinging to old ways out of fear of change, but what kind of father forces his daughter into lovelessness? He stood, addressing the assembled crowd. I propose a new alliance, one built not just on trade agreements, but on the recognition that love and connection transcend species. If my daughter and Dr. Chen represent the future, then perhaps it's a future worth embracing. The hall erupted in applause, though some like Commander Rena looked displeased. Sarah pulled Aria close, both of them crying and laughing simultaneously. We did it, Sarah whispered against Aria's hair. We did it together, Aria corrected, kissing her deeply. 6 months later, Sarah and Aria stood before both councils in a ceremony that blended Earth and Luminan traditions. They exchanged vows in 2 languages, promising to be bridges between worlds, ambassadors of love. As they kissed to seal their union, the crystals sang, the crowds cheered, and 2 worlds took their first real steps toward unity. Captain Cooper leaned toward Admiral Kensington, who knew a love story would be what finally brought us together. The Admiral smiled, the best diplomacy always comes from the heart. Sarah and Aria's bond hummed with perfect harmony, 2 souls, 2 worlds, 1 love, and in that moment, the universe felt infinite with possibility. The end.